Hello.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like getting Bateman when you need Batman.
Stop. Today, I'm going to redesign a few packages and logos for popular snacks. But what even counts as a snack? Like, for real, please tell me. I have no idea. I would say it's something that you eat that isn't part of a meal, but then basically any snack that I can think of, people do use as part of their meals in one way or another, especially when we consider school lunches. So maybe I'd just say it's something that doesn't fill you up very good, but at that point, the definition is so vague that you kind of just make up your own rules. And that's why today's selection of redesigns is a little questionable, but we're running with it. Welcome back to Fix the World. Let's kick things off with goldfish. Goldfish really doesn't need an introduction at this point. They're just so massively popular. But if I'm being honest, I really am not a huge
What are you talking about? You can't even change my favorite thing.
fan of this package. The font doesn't really do it for me, along with just the placement of all the elements. But the one thing they definitely are doing correctly is Finn himself. He's just so cool. Look at those sunglasses. So we'll try to keep some element of him in our design. But other than that, we're going to be redoing a lot of this. And we'll start with some text saying goldfish. Now, if I'm being honest, I've been kind of in this little creative rut where, like, looking at this packaging design, I'm not feeling
Nope. Mm-hmm.
Your word is gibberish.
Gibberish. Gibberish. Gibberish.
That is correct.
Sleep.
Your word is Igawala.
What?
Igawala!
Can I get the language of origin, please? Can you use it in a sentence, please?
Sure.
That's nonsense, bro. There's 11 rating was young son. A million.
Each of these rappers picked a fight with Anthony Fantano, with Lil Xan's call-out being one of the more aggressive. Back in 2018,
What?
he released his first studio album Total Xanarchy, which was universally reviewed as being pretty terrible. But no one was as harsh as Anthony Fantano, who began his review with a pretty brutal statement.
We're not even at the halfway point of the year yet, and this is one of the worst things I've heard all year.
Fantano proceeded to call Xan extremely stupid.
He sounds like he barely has a pulse half the time, and most of his songs don't really have much more than 10 words to their name because I don't think he could commit more than 10 words to memory for a single track.
With the album's only decent segments being made by other people.
Really, the only thing that gives any of these tracks credibility are the features.
Xanarchy was therefore given the infamous not good rating, being only the 17th album Fantano had ever given the title to. As explained by his Reddit, not good is worse than zero.
This project is a non-starter.
Which Lil Xan understandably wasn't happy about. As when Fantano came up during a No Jumper podcast, Lil Xan was quick to offer his opinion.
What, the needle drop?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow, really?
Needle drop?
You don't like him? Oh yeah, he dissed you hard.
He then blamed Fantano for Lil Peep's death.
When it comes to rap, I think he has no say because he gave Lil Peep like a 1.
Really?
And then 2 weeks later, Lil Peep's dead. Lil Peep's a great artist.
Telling Fantano to stay in his lane.
You can speak on alternative rock, all that weird Japanese you like. I know you got some weird fetishes, but please do not speak on rap.
With Post Malone also responding after getting a not good rating. Prior to it gaining over 9 billion streams, Fantano somehow concluded that Stoney was not good.
There's just nothing special about this album, in my opinion.
With the dislike ratio implying that the audience didn't agree. Damn, am I the only one who thinks this album is really good? Fantano then shared his review to his Twitter, where people again replied calling his rating inaccurate, with Post Malone retweeting these comments to his Twitter. He'd then reply directly, "But if you gave J. Cole a mediocre rating, then I'll take this as a compliment," to which Anthony responded, "See, every cloud has a silver lining," prompting Post to again respond, "And every Anthony Fantano has a dick tickler." Fantano simply responded with a laughing emoji, but it seems Post Malone eventually got the last laugh, as during his review Anthony also foolishly stated,
"I think he's really going to pan out as a one-hit wonder."
Post Malone proves his status as a one-hit wonder. I think he might have spoke too soon there. On his very next album, Post included the line, "Your new stuff sucks, I feel like Anthony Fantano," but it was Logic who spent half of a 2-minute song expressing how much he hated Fantano. Logic had been given 2 different scores of 1 out of 10 or lower, which he'd admit always imposed a heavy mental burden.
He would review my music ever since my mixtapes, and it would always like me up because he would always basically say how I wasn't like good enough.
The extent of which only being revealed when he'd put out La Donda roughly 2 years later. About halfway through the song, Logic begins an unexpected rant. "Anthony Fantano, you plaid shirt wearing mother effer. I used to hate you cause you'd crap on my music. I used to fantasize about murdering you, choking you to death." He was trying to make the point that the feedback was ultimately helpful, although it wound up making Fantano very uncomfortable, who'd spend 3 minutes speechless after playing the song on stream. He'd eventually respond by stating,
"I don't know if I'm cool with that, you know? I mean, it's how you feel, but it's a little weird. Like, hey, my reviews aren't that big of a deal. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to hurt anybody."
After which Logic dressed as Anthony to review some of Anthony's reviews. Fantano and Logic's relationship is just downright confusing, but with Tyler the Creator it's much more cut and dry. Fantano was supportive of Tyler's earlier projects, so when he'd then give Cherry Bomb a pretty bad rating,
"I'm feeling a strong 3-2-8-4 on this album,"
Tyler wasn't super happy. He'd tweet, "Album been out for 30 hours. How can you review it? Listen to it for a while," with comments on the review agreeing. "First time I listened to it, 3 out of 10. Now after 10 listens or so, 7 out of 10. However, even after listening to it for a while, Fantano never changed his mind about the album, stating Cherry Bomb is still bad even 9 years later.
This record stinks. It still stinks. I can't stand it. I really can't. I feel like it's aged worse. It sounds worse than it did when it came out.
In the process, Fantano calls Cherry Bomb
the worst record in his discography.
But with the album's poor reception came a silver lining. Tyler explained in Flower Boy: A Conversation that after Cherry Bomb got terrible reviews, he knew his next album would have to be amazing, or his career was probably over. Learning from Cherry Bomb's mistakes, he'd put out Flower Boy, Igor, and Call Me If You Get Lost, which Fantano gave each at least 8 out of 10 or higher, aka a rating MGK could only ever dream of. In fact, Fantano had reviewed 4 of MGK's projects, giving them scores of not good, 0, 1, and 3, with the not good rating on Tickets to My Downfall, prompting an indirect response from MGK on Twitter. One of his fans had written, "I'm listening to Machine Gun Kelly's pop punk album. The Zoomers are gonna put this in the Rolling Stones Top 500 in 2030, to which MGK responded, and they will be right. Critics try to take jabs at all the bands your generation loved during their moment, and then understood its importance in hindsight. It's made from pure love. The universe can't deny that." Anthony, however, only continued to clown him, writing, "When the Queen died, RIP. The Queen will never get to hear MGK save pop punk." When he and Trippie Redd then announced a collab mixtape, Fantano responded with the classic Star Wars meme, pushing MGK to the point of responding directly. Two friends from Ohio made some songs that no one is forcing you to listen to. Insufferable, I know. Trippie Redd further added, "Who cares, dudes' reviews be trash," which likely contributed to their collab getting another bad rating.
I am feeling a 0 on this.
Are you serious? It's literally the best MGK album, and you're giving it a 0. All the tracks are good. I might be wrong. Because I'm the only one.
A 0.
But for one of Young Lean's projects, Fantano bluntly refused to rate it. It was Unknown Death 2002, the review of which took a very strange turn.
My hand is bread. My hand is bread. My hands are bread.
There's bread.
My hands are bread.
After an unenthusiastic intro, Anthony spent the entire video simply eating bread, adding in the description, shoutouts carbs, yeast, enriched flour, salt, water, My Light Bakery, stating his favorite and least favorite songs were bread, rating the album bread out of 10. One comment theorized it's easy to tell that Anthony is saying he lost his mind because this album is so good and revolutionary. Also, the bread is a metaphor for how much money he thinks Young Lean is gonna make with his albums, although Fantano's lack of enthusiasm rather implied the opposite. Therefore, when Young Lean was asked, "What did you think about Anthony Fantano's review of your tape Unknown Death?" he'd respond by stating, "Don't really care. He should stop wasting his time and do something creative himself instead. It's always more giving and fun." Then there was that time Anthony beefed with Drake. With compilations like the needle drop hating Drake for 20 minutes straight, you might call Fantano one of Drizzy's biggest haters. So when he'd randomly upload a video titled "Drake Slid Into My DMs," everyone was curious.
Last night, in the dead of night, I was reached out to by one of the biggest voices in the music industry.
Fantano proceeded to show what he'd been sent. "Anthony, it's Drizzy. I know we don't really see eye to eye about music, and that you're not the biggest fan of most of my albums. But it is what it is, you know. But I'm not messaging you about your videos. I'm actually messaging you because I found a really great vegan cookie recipe I'd love you to try."
Drake is sending me a vegan cookie recipe.
Fantano proceeds to read the ingredients while subtly mocking Drake's intelligence.
He's missing the applesauce. Maybe he just doesn't know how to spell applesauce. That's kind of weird.
But it turns out these messages were 100% fake, because the very next day, Drake shared he and Anthony's actual chat log, which included how he really felt about Fantano. Fantano. Your existence is a live one, and that one is cause you're alive, and cause you somehow wifed a black girl. I'm feeling a light to decent one on your existence. Fantano simply used this to clown on Drake again, maintaining this attitude till his recent Kendrick beef, to which Fantano would wear his finest suit. Meanwhile, Eminem's diss was way more subtle. In his 2014 song Calm Down, Eminem included the lines effing internet bloggers. I sit in front of my computer all day and comment on everything. I'm an expert on everything. Everything sucks, play the next song. When the lyrics were posted to Genius, they'd reference a picture of Anthony Fantano, who'd therefore upload a video titled Eminem Dissed Me.
So this Eminem man dissed me in a song. And there's me! There's a picture of me!
Now, Eminem hadn't specified who the diss was aimed at, but 8 years later in 2022, West Side Boogie implied it was Anthony.
What advice has he given you that's really stuck with you?
Me not taking blogs personal when they give me like bad ratings. Like it was this dude named Anthony Fontaine. His name like Needle Drop on YouTube. He like famous for like rating people albums.
Oh Lord.
He gave Eminem a 2. So Eminem was like, yo, he give me bad grades every time. You can't take that personal because like some people just not gonna understand it.
Eminem's clearly aware of Fantano's ratings, although doesn't follow them as closely as Ronnie Radke, who's currently suing Fantano for one of his reviews. The two began feuding in early 2023 when Fantano called Watch the World Burn one of the worst songs of the year.
This song will be in my top 10 worst songs of the year video. We don't know what the other 9 are yet, but this is one.
Offended, Ronnie took to Twitter writing, "At the Needle Drop is like the Paris Hilton of music critics. Looks 25 years older than he is, and nobody will care about him in 3 years." To which Anthony responded, "Over the past decade, I objectively look like I've put on fewer years than Mr. Radke, and I've had fewer trips through the legal system as well," referring to Ronnie's 2-year prison stint back in 2008. Fantano attached 4 pictures to articulate his point, to which Ronnie again replied, "Well, truthfully, the right picture was taken in 108-degree weather in an Arizona parking lot on stage. The other was taken 5 years later."
Anthony, I hate to break it to you, the blonde picture is me 7 years after the live photo of me. So you complimented me.
Fantano then accused Ronnie's followers of being Indian bots, prompting Ronnie to predict, "We all know what happens to mostly negative critic YouTubers. Another YouTuber will make a video called What Happened to Anthony Fantano in 2 years tops. Fantano would rather upload a video titled This Guy Sucks, talking about how Ronnie couldn't handle criticism, whilst mentioning the darker things the singer's been accused of."
He's had domestic violence charges too against him, which were ultimately dismissed, true, but the fact that all of this behavior is piling up here is quite sussy-wussy.
In the process, Fantano trolled. Ronnie Radke is the most talented, moral, intelligent, and groundbreaking artist the music industry has ever seen. His catalogue is utterly timeless, and I'm honored to call him my friend, lover, and husband. Thank you for all your years of laughter and companionship, Ronald, who then responded with his own tweet. "Hey guys, I'm Anthony Fantano, newly divorced. After my YouTube stint, I'll be working at an elementary school, reading books to second graders, whilst attaching some pretty funny pictures." This led Fantano to post another video, calling Ronnie's new song terrible.
We have a big dose of cringe for you guys today, as we have a brand new Falling in Reverse track titled Ronald.
After which their beef hit a whole new level. Falling in Reverse frontman Ronnie Radke has filed a defamation lawsuit against music critic Anthony Fantano. The lawsuit centers on a video Fantano released titled This Guy Sucks, in which, if you remember, Fantano talked about some of Ronnie's accusations.
This man just said that I sexually someone, pretty much. He's implying that I did it. 100% I had zero contact with her. I sued this woman and won because I would never do something disgusting like that, you loser. And yes, my domestic violence got dropped because that didn't happen either. Sir, this makes you liable in court. I will sue the ever-living beep out of your ass. I will take everything you have.
The lawsuit claims Fantano's video goes beyond the bounds of permissible commentary and extends well into the realm of actionable innuendo, unfounded rumor mongering, and outright untruth. Why does Ronnie take everything so personally? Lol, most people just kind of ignore haters and go about their day. It seems like he takes it to such heart and lashes out. The situation hasn't yet been settled, but suing after being criticized never looks good.
This is fun.
K-12 has helped a lot with my ADHD because I'm in an area where I feel like I'm getting distracted.
In 2019, DJ Khaled picked a fight with Tyler, the Creator. It became the biggest mistake of Khaled's whole career. But before we talk about exactly what they said to each other, let's first briefly discuss why they began fighting in the first place. Tyler, the Creator had gained a reputation for dropping an album every 2 years, although none of them had ever debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. Goblin debuted at #5, Cherry Bomb debuted at #4, Wolf debuted at #3, while Flower Boy debuted at #2. By following this trend, it seemed his next album could be the first to take home the #1 placement, provided he could bypass the biggest rat in music, DJ Khaled. As hard as it might be to admit, Khaled was definitely more successful than Tyler in terms of commercial performance. By 2019, DJ Khaled already had 2 #1 albums, while his most popular music video had almost 10 times the views in comparison to Tyler's most popular music video. With over 50 placements in the Billboard Hot 100, it's no surprise that Tyler himself described DJ Khaled by stating,
his whole identity is being #1. Is we the best, we the #1.
Which is without a doubt the position that DJ Khaled was hoping for when he began to work on another album for release at the same time as Tyler's next project. Titled Father of Assad, DJ Khaled's album was what you might call commercially perfect, with a feature from a massive artist on every single song. Jay-Z, Future, Beyonce, Chris Brown, Lil Wayne, Justin Bieber, Travis Scott and Post Malone on the same song. The album even had a feature from Nipsey Hussle at a time when he was already dead. On top of this, every song had a full team of writers, while in addition to DJ Khaled, almost every track also featured at least 3 producers. When considering his history, the names and the clear work that had gone into Father of Assad, DJ Khaled likely thought that he'd easily cooked up another one album when it finally dropped on the 17th of May 2019. That would be until Tyler, the Creator, on the very same day released Igor. Igor had a much deeper story than any of Tyler's previous albums, characterized primarily by his ridiculous blonde wig, worn not for some deep thematic reason, but rather because Tyler simply liked it.
Where did the idea for the wig come from? What is Igor? Like, why are we looking at you the way we are? And
I just
what is it?
thought it was cool.
The tracklist itself was only made cooler by the fact that each song was written and produced solely by Tyler, which when tied in with a unique recognizable album cover, gave it the strength to beat DJ Khaled. Igor #1, Father of Assad #2, a result that seemed to surprise even Tyler himself.
And this is no disrespect to Khaled or anyone. Everyone, Cardi B, 21 Savage, Travis Scott, Post Malone, Beyonce, Jay, everyone who sells billions of records, and the fact that I beat him with this was fucking crazy, bro.
Tyler's win was covered in news article after news article and celebrated by those rooting for the underdog. Imagine having 20 features on your album just to be #2 to a man with a synth addiction. Igor out now, although if there was one person who wasn't too happy about the final result, it was definitely DJ Khaled. DJ Khaled reportedly freaked out on his label when his album failed to debut at #1. Various sources have now told Page 6 that Khaled stormed into his label offices and threw a temper tantrum upon learning that Father of Assad would debut at #2. Per one source, Khaled stormed into Epic with an entourage. He was angry and yelling. Another source added this: he was furious. There was some nasty stuff said. Publicly, he's all about positivity, but there is a mean side to him that people don't see. He overhyped the record and blew it up as his biggest album ever, with this article prompting an instant response from the public in comments roasting DJ Khaled such as, "Just a thought here, maybe make music that doesn't suck." Who knew DJ Khaled had a vocabulary big enough to even express anger? Was about to say we the second best music, but somebody already did that one. Then again, if there's anything I've learned from DJ Khaled, it's to take credit from other people's work by screaming something loudly. As DJ Khaled's temper tantrum began to go viral, he'd backpedal in the face of criticism by stating that apparently he was only annoyed at Billboard. DJ Khaled's reported anger about the sales of his album have nothing to do with the success of Tyler, the Creator, which seemed to clear DJ Khaled of any wrongdoing until he'd post this video on his Instagram story just a few hours later.
I make albums so people can play.
But I'm making this video because I have 69 subs. Thank you, Jesus Christ. And I'm making content for you guys so you could have a good time. Because tomorrow I'm not going to upload any videos because I'm out of place all day.
Play it, and you actually hear it. You know, driving your car, you hear another car playing it. You know, go to the barber shop, you hear them playing it. You know, turn the radio on and you hear them playing it. You know, it's playing everywhere.
They play that music just
It's called great.
because they just have terrible music taste.
Music. It's called albums that you actually hear the songs. Not no mysterious shit and you never hear it.
All it took was a single number 2 placement for Khaled's facade of positivity to completely and utterly crumble.
You should never complain. Complaining is a weak emotion.
Without saying Tyler's name, DJ Khaled implied that Igor wasn't real music, as it was mysterious, you apparently couldn't hear the songs, and it wasn't being played by the cars around him or in any barbershops. His irate video was reposted to YouTube and Twitter, where it received over 65,000 likes whilst receiving comments such as, "For someone blessed and humble, he sounds bitter. Man, I was at my barbershop just this past Friday, and they weren't playing his album either. Went from we the best to we depressed," leading DJ Khaled to remove the video almost immediately. However, it was too late. Everybody had already seen it. The media began to weigh in on Khaled's bitterness by stating, "What the DJ/producer/not very inventive hype man seems to have missed though, is the fact that the exposure of a record is literally what gets it on the charts. Tyler's album simply did better. The fact is, grabbing a bunch of the most hype names in hip-hop, slapping them on a fairly generic trap beat, and introducing each song with the same soundboard another one, literally just doesn't stack up against Tyler the Creator's innovative songwriting, production, and visuals, while YouTubers such as Anthony Fantano completely mutilated Khaled by stating this.
This metric of, well, if they're playing it in the barbershop, the album's gotta be hot. That's kind of an old way of looking at things. Khaled's indignant whining and complaining here is disgusting. And all it really shows at the end of the day is how out of touch he is. You can't just assemble Cardi B and 21 Savage onto a generic ass trap beat and expect people to love you and praise you and think you're a genius and think you're amazing.
Things became even worse down in the comments section, where one user highlighted, "It's worth mentioning that when Tyler dropped Flower Boy, it debuted at number 2 behind Lana Del Rey's album by just over 1,000 units. Instead of being upset, he congratulated Lana and continued to flex his artistry even more with Igor, showing that Tyler acted humbly when placed in the same position. Therefore, everybody began to wonder, what was Tyler's response going to be back to DJ Khaled? Well, in the beginning, Tyler stated that he simply let that number 1 position speak, while using the brief window of opportunity to drive even more exposure back to his album. Wow, doing pretty good for some mysterious shit. Yeah, I am. Igor out now, with his Twitter exchange coming alongside a different response over on his Instagram. Rap media personality DJ Academics made a post reading, "Who had the better album to you, Tyler the Creator or DJ Khaled?" To which Tyler would continue his trolling by commenting, "Who TF listens to Tyler the Creator?" which was pretty much all he'd say until over 2 years later. In June 2021, Tyler's next album, Call Me If You Get Lost, once again debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, prompting a new tweet by Tyler still roasting Khaled for what he'd said 2 years prior. Mysterious music, ha. 1 month later, Tyler would appear in a Hot 97 interview.
Bro, that Khaled thing was like, it was fun. It was just watching a man die inside because the weirdo was winning. I was moonwalking in a wig. Everyone on his album, everyone. And he wasn't wrong. Like, I'm not in the barber shop. I'm not at the club. I'm not diddy skitty. I'm not in the back of the Maybach. So for some guy like that to kind of indirectly be like, that ain't real rap, that ain't real black music, that's what it felt like.
However, this story actually has somewhat of a happy ending. DJ Khaled and Tyler the Creator squashed beef at Rock Nation's pre-Grammy brunch, explaining that though Khaled nor Tyler didn't mention anything of it, the two posed for a quick picture together, appearing to confirm that there aren't any issues between them. The article referred to this picture posted to DJ Khaled's Instagram, and considering on the Hot 97 interview Tyler said this,
"It's no hard feelings towards him. What he's done,
and he was an underdog too, and built his way up too, from nothing,
so
from pirate radio.
So I do have some sort of respect for him.
It's really no surprise that the two got together for a photo.
Let me show you how happy I am. Look, 69. Like, even my videos are getting views. Thank you. Thank you so much. Like, I'm very happy. Like, if you know, hello guys, this man is saying, we're to watch, and now it's 28. This. And Everybody has some form of media-induced childhood. I'm very happy. Like, as long as I make people happy, like, all I care about is making people happy. That's why I get so happy when I see this go up. It means that one more person gets happy. Just like this. Wait, hold up. Let's, yeah, just like that. Like, I want people to be happy instead of sad. That's why I do this all the time, every day. I'm just trying to make you guys happy. And as long as that happens, I will be happy. Okay?